Welcome back to the fight for groups between G2 and Infinity Esports. Back and forth series thus far. Infinity taking it home in a late game when it came down to team fights in our game one, but game two, rock, paper, scissors, they lost horribly in the early game. They got obliterated. They picked scissors every time, and G2 was like, we took rock, man. You can't keep running back in.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Infinity, we heard the analysts talk a little bit about it. They kind of just went away from the game plan. We talked about how in their draft, they were the ones going for much more of an early game focused comp, and they wanted to try and match G2 in terms of skirmishing. And unfortunately, they just kind of got outclassed. Jankos had a great game on the Camille. He really put a lot more pressure down towards the bot side of the map, and it wasn't really about Perkz or Wunder. It was much more about just kind of shutting down the bot lane of Infinity. So I'd like to see Infinity go back to more of a scaling style. I think you should never really try and match G2 in the early game. You should try and get through the early game, and then you try and fight them in the mid to late game, because that is where they've typically shown to have more of a weakness in terms of their mid-game decision-making or their ability to execute on fights. And I feel like we saw that multiple times in game one. You know, the fact that Wunder in the end did get caught out in a side lane, but the fact that, like, Perkz fell to flash into a wall, the fact that they kept grouping up in the mid lane, you know, G2 do make these mistakes, and they are punishable. And so I would like to see Infinity draft more towards that style to try and shut that down.
And I also just think we see their draft. We see that they wanted to try something here in this game, too, that was very successful for them against the Direwolves. We've talked about it before, but this early game, this LeBlanc mid, and you just have to hope that they reevaluate and look at the win conditions that brought them the win in game one, like you were talking about, Vedius, and see what G2 cooks up with, how they respond to this situation overall. Of course, G2 in this game should have side selection coming in as the first seed, so we'll see where they want to go. Maybe they're happy with how things played out this time around, but I don't think Infinity is going to want to trade Aatrox for Urgot again. I imagine if they get their pick of the litter, they will.
Can we just start first picking Urgot teams, please? He's just so strong. He's so strong. Like, getting a 1v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah,
like,
admittedly, Cotopaco was a great team fighting Urgot. Wunder was a great, I'm going to kill everyone kind of Urgot.
Yeah. And Perkz in the tiebreaker as well. He had a great Urgot, except for when he literally ran it down mid lane. Outside of that, great Urgot too. So, Urgot, really strong champion. So let's see if he gets banned away. Infinity so far every game have banned away Hjarnan, Akali, and Olaf. I understand every single one of those bans. Maybe you consider letting one of them go in order to take the Urgot off the board, but then at the same time you leave Aatrox open. And you don't really want to give Wunder Aatrox either. So we shall see what will be the priority for G2. Whee!
Well, that was a special moment that we all got to share there. As the pick and ban phase continues, Gragas, of course, taken off. They don't want to give that to SolidSnake. I respect it. He was a pretty proactive playmaker. The Gragas was pretty terrifying. But what do Infinity take away, Vedius?
I would assume Olaf.
It is the
prediction god. It's not like they've done it 2 times in a row. All right, do G2 prioritize the Aatrox or the Urgot? Haha! So they're going for the Urgot this time round.
Who would have thought? The Urgot rose in priority after last game. G2 will lock it in. Infinity, they're going to take Aatrox,
yeah,
but
Alistar.
I want...
It's going to be Alistar, probably, for Arce.
Ooh! Okay, that's new.
Well, to be fair, Rakan was banned in both games, and the most played AD carry for Renyu is the Xayah. So the question is, do G2 now pick away the Xayah, or do they say we have an answer for it ourselves?
Alistar Xayah, committed.
Okay.
They really love this Xayah pick in the hands of Hjarnan. And to be fair, he has been stepping up over the course of the series. Game 1, a little rough. Game 2, very good from him. We'll see if it just continues to improve through the games. But now, once again, Arce Renyu with a comfort bot lane in their hands. Is there another priority pick they'd rather take instead of the Xayah? Nope. It's not looking like it.
Because it's immediately going to get banned away by G2, so just get it, lock it in. This is an easy lane to play around, the level 6 mark. Something that all casters will often talk about, especially against an Alistar and a Xayah. Just gank that lane. Level 6, gank it. One of the easiest lanes to play around. Now, the Nocturne isn't available, which is usually one of the best pairings for this matchup. I'd like to see Infinity, if they can, grab themselves the Camille. This is SolidSnake's big comfort champion as well. But you would imagine that G2 are going to look to ban both the Camille and maybe even the Skarner away. Force Infinity on maybe more of a tanky jungler, or even put them back on the Xin Zhao, where he couldn't have quite the same impact that he was able to have on the Gragas in game 1.
Yeah, he was just trailing behind Camille, in terms of a lot of those early game plays. Was generally in the right spot a lot of the times, which was just always there a little bit late behind the Camille. Jankos very willing to sacrifice those early camps to keep the pressure up on the map.
The Blanc ban coming out from G2. They saw the Syndra ban, they thought, okay, Cotopaco looking to first pick that one. We don't want to have to blind pick a Malzahar because there are a lot of things that are really good into it. So instead, we'll just take you away from that champion. Will there be any jungle? Oh, stolen Asandra. What are they going towards?
It's going to be interesting because we have seen the Irelia banned away in previous pick bans. It's not been banned away yet by G2.
Good point.
But going up against the Urgot always feels like a little bit of a mixed bag if the G2 does decide to flex into the mid lane.
Yeah. Interesting. Curious as to what they're looking to lock in, because like when you ban away Syndra and Lissandra, that to me implies that you have an assassin in mind. And you talked a little bit about Irelia. I do see a Yasuo game on Cotopaco's history.
Yeah, that's a Lee Sin ban.
Damn. Okay. The Lee Sin going over towards SolidSnake. He does like to play early game junglers. I wonder if he goes for the Camille now.
And then what will Jankos respond with? That would be the big question. But if you take Skarner, I feel like Jankos straight going Camille this time. Ooh, so Skarner locked in. Is going to be the choice here, and we see a composition for Infinity Esports. You got the comfort picks for the bottom lane. The Skarners look pretty good in the hands of SolidSnake in their finals in the LLN against Dash9. See if you can have a similar performance here.
Taliyah was the one that I was thinking of, yeah. I think he hasn't brought it out so far this series, but I think it makes a lot more sense against this matchup. And because there's a lot of AP, he can afford to go for the Irelia mid. I think it's a pretty safe blind pick with a lot of the things that have been banned away.
I think it's a flex. I've seen Wunder play it in solo queue. I think they will flex it if there's a bad mid lane matchup and just nullify it with the Urgot.
Yeah, I could see them going for a Yasuo here from Cotopaco. I have heard that it's a pretty decent matchup into the Irelia. Okay, they're going to go for the Cassio instead. All right. So Cassio's miasma is really good at limiting some of the mobility tools that the Irelia does have, but at the same time, if Irelia is the one to initiate onto you, she can be really good at dodging out from a lot of the skill shots that you rely on from your Q, so your damage output can be heavily mitigated, especially with the limited escapes that you have on the Cassio as well. Landing that stun from Irelia is pretty reliable and pretty easy to do, so I'm pretty excited for this matchup. Cotopaco, overall, he's been very solid. I feel I liked his Urgot a lot. In the playing stages, he was willing to play a lot of the assassins, and we saw his Irelia have a huge impact in the EDG game. But now Perkz is on the champion, and in game 1, he built up a huge CS lead, but he did end up failing that flash and costing a big team fight. But then in game 2, his Malzahar was also pretty clutch, and he set up a lot of plays with Jankos. So how this mid lane matchup will play out is something that I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on in the early stages of play.
I mean, I think we both will. Jankos on Taliyah, this guy ganks usually level 2 as quickly as humanly possible. You're up against a Skarner. Will we just see a bloodbath in the mid lane is a big question. Where does the jungle attention go? We've seen G2, a lot of the stronger individual solo laners. Can they make that amount to a large advantage in the early game? What is Infinity going to do to fight it back here as we get into game 3, as the coaches get back to the room to see what's in store for them on both sides?
Do you know what the greatest thing to do when going on a date is? Bring a third wheel. The lovers duo should just have the jungler permanently gank bot. They don't care about their romantic evening. They want to bring friends over, you know, they want to have a group meal. That's what they need to be doing towards the bot side of the map. A third wheel is what I want to see from SolidSnake down towards the bot lane. Perma gank that Xayah Rakan, get them ahead, and really enable Renyu and Arce. Allow Renyu to do what he did in game 1.
And of course it is game 3, tied up now. A best of 3 stands in front of both of these teams as the scoreline is 1-1. And luckily Vedius left me no space to talk about his weird third wheel comment. So we don't have to talk about it, but we can talk about the potential for the junglers to do a lot here in the early game. Vedius though, I feel like Skarner, I always think about him like this pretty aggressive, strong early game jungler, but it just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to match the Taliyah as quickly as she is.
So I think with both these junglers, it's easier to think about them in isolation, right? Like, what does Skarner do with the lanes that he's been given? And what Skarner isn't great at is kind of providing a lot of initial setup because he has to run at his opponents. If he has flash, he can flash in and grab the target with the Predator proc as well, and then you can kind of lock them down, right? That's great. But preferably what he wants is lanes that have that setup already so that he doesn't have to burn his flash and he can save it for later on into the game. So that's why Xayah and Rakan is a really good setup for him, and that's why he works really well with the duo. Now, if he and Cassio were to meet up against the Irelia and the Taliyah, their early game damage would just straight up outmatch the duo of Infinity. So in terms of following the Skarner, that's the kind of thing that I want to be seeing from Jankos. I don't think he needs to force a lot of plays in the early game. Instead, he just needs to be showing up wherever SolidSnake is, trying to make counter ganks happen, and that's where he will be able to often come out on top, just because of the damage output that Taliyah has.
And honestly, when you look at Jankos' performance across the series, you can see, tale of two different junglers. When you see a more aggressive, more proactive early game jungler in his hands on that Camille, 5K plus A at 15, huge jungle proximity, huge kill participation. Game 1, he wasn't on the map, and now we're going to have to see. Taliyah has been a good pick for him in the past, but can he have the same level of performance here in the Game 3?
Yeah. We shall see, we shall see. I don't think he has that many lanes to play around. If he was going to play around any, it would be the mid lane one. But even then, the stun from Irelia doesn't last that long, so landing the W from Taliyah still isn't the easiest thing to do. I saw you miss that farm, Wunder. I really saw it. Got to criticize him. If he's considered one of the best top lanes in Europe, got to pick at all the small parts. On the mid lane, things are going pretty well for Cotopaco, using his range advantage to try and bully out Perkz. Just hit that level 2 mark as well. And the cool thing about Cassio and Irelia, right, is you can often know what minion she's going to go towards. So if you predict it, you can throw out your Q in advance. You can punish her every time she tries to dash. But
in this case, very hard to punish a quick Perkz. Of course, Perkz taking the bad half of that trade, but still grabbing a ton of CS here in the mid lane. And now Jankos ready to move into this middle lane. Not interested in neutralizing the Skarner, interested in making his mark. Perkz going to try to set up the stun, buying a bit of time for Cotopaco. Cotopaco now running. Here comes the Predator. Jankos going to try to throw the knockback out, but Perkz might just be the one in trouble. Can they turn this back? The stun's going to connect. First blood dropping. Jankos now has to be careful up against this Skarner. Slowly but surely getting chipped down here, and he is going to back off.
Wait, SolidSnake, he could be in trouble here. Jankos has the Q. Not going to throw it out. Early level cooldown, still relatively long, but we talked about the counter ganking options. It was actually SolidSnake that counter ganked Jankos and Perkz, and that's because all their cooldowns had been thrown out, which means that SolidSnake is primed and ready to turn the situation back around in their favor. Now, Perkz misses the stun, just barely, which means that Cotopaco can buy a lot more time. He has the heal as well, and then SolidSnake just needs to get close enough to land the stun to allow Cotopaco to sink those twin fangs in and find first blood for Infinity in the mid lane.
Disastrous start there for Perkz, giving a kill over to Cassio. A nice back timing nets her the tier, and additionally, she still has the flash up and available. Perkz still pressuring out the lane for now as he was able to get there first, but going to be a bit more difficult as the lane continues to go. Pretty decent experience advantage for the Cassio as well. We'll start to even out at least a little bit, but the other thing we have to check in on is that third wheel you're talking about. We've got the lovers slowly starting to scale up, level 3, and once they get a few more levels under their belt, we might start seeing some of these more aggressive initiations on the bottom side.
Yeah, they don't need to for the time being. Alistar can still be really obnoxious, and they've got a giant minion wave pushing towards them. Excuse me. Also, the Skarner doesn't have flash, so I don't expect them to try and force any plays early on in bot. I'm expecting that level 6 mark. That's where I want to see some action happen towards that side of the map. And the fact that Cassio has already secured first blood, has started stacking that tier up, means that you can kind of leave that Cassio to her own devices now. You just wanted to sit back and farm. She still has the flash if there's any dangerous situation that could potentially arise. And so Infinity looking pretty good in this early game for the time being. Small, healthy gold lead, pretty much just the first blood advantage that they picked up for themselves.
Yeah, but Wunder already starting to build a CS lead. In the previous game, he was much slower to get started there. It was only after level 6 that he really started to pull ahead here in this matchup, but already pulling ahead very early in the laning phase. Stun doesn't connect from Perkz, and that means he can't get anything back in the trade. Really need to hit those spells if you want that passive stacked up to go back against the Cassio. And pressure in favor of Infinity for right now, and Arce just threatening Wadid. Hoping maybe they can find something greater. Perkz doing his best to hold on to farm, but I love that miasma. Toss to dash in and around that.
Wasn't quite on the minion wave, which means that Perkz, once he dashed over it, was perfectly fine. Happy to farm. But yeah, good use of the miasma there. Really limits the mobility. We talked a little bit about it in draft. And I quite like this Cassio pick, especially if you get ahead in the early game, because that's when Irelia is at her most lethal. That sheen item pickup is devastating to deal with. Really does offer a lot of additional damage during the laning phase.
Huge burst of damage, indeed.
But for now, the farming continues. And for Infinity, they're feeling pretty comfortable. And I've also got to remember that for Infinity as a region, this is a pretty big deal. Because for a really long time, we often just saw Rainbow Seven / Lion Gaming represent the LLN on the international stage. And this will be the last year of the LLN. They will be merging for the LAS. And so they wanted to do their region proud. They wanted to represent them. And by qualifying for this best of 5, and by already taking a game off G2.
Yeah, because you think about last year, it was Lion and C9, and there was a game that was maybe close, but Infinity already making a larger mark in some senses than Lion, than Rainbow 7, as they renamed, and it's good to see kind of the progression of this region overall, and additionally, how well these guys have performed. When you think about everything that's been stacked against them, being the new reps, dealing with jet lag, and now dealing with an aggressive Perkz in the mid lane, who luckily for Cotopaco, Vedius, does not have that sheen.
Yeah, he's been put behind a little bit. Actually going for the phage first by picking up the health crystal. Gonna, all right, using his ulti for wave.
Yo, shout out to the observers for that zoom in. That was hit him with the subtle beat. All right, Perkz clearing the wave for pressure.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Pressure ult, people.
I'm gonna assume that was for wave clear. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. His pro player mind cannot be understood by a simple color
heck out of that wave.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And now he's got pressure in the mid lane, which is going to allow him to roam up and at least look to place a little bit of vision. Maybe contest this control ward. But SolidSnake is here. Perkz knows SolidSnake's flash timer because it's the same as his own. Gonna have to give some respect to that level 6 Skarner.
Okay, level 6. You already talked about it. Bot lane. They're approaching that mark very quickly. This is where I want to see the plays happen. If they can get pressure mid, that's even better, because then you can have Cotopaco roam down to offer an extra, I was going to say extra leg, and then I realized
he doesn't have any legs.
Doesn't have any legs.
Extra snake tail. Never have too many, Vedius.
More damage.
There you go.
It's kind of what I wanted to get at. But
Headbutt Bolt does connect on 2. Renyu, though, of course, with the ultimate. Arce, though, taking a bad end of that trade. Well played by Wadid to burn some of the Rakan's health pool, but level 6s are now coming in, so you're going to see Wadid start to back up. Predator now channeled, but SolidSnake just going to run right away from that gank as he already has been spotted.
All right, so I will say it's not the worst thing in the world to go top. If you can get your Aatrox ahead, fine, but I feel like Urgot's the kind of champion that's going to be relevant regardless, whereas what we've seen is that when you put the G2 bot lane behind, your chances of success against this team increase dramatically. And now G2 doing what they like to do.
Pulled back. Aldi's going to have to come out from the Aatrox. He's running for his life. Fear Beyond Death flashed out, but they're getting the ulti and the flash there. Wunder and Jankos still everything besides the Urgot ult, but it does prompt a quick engage on the bottom side, and you got to wonder if Infinity are a little concerned every time they set their sights on top lane after Wunder pulls off that 2v1 in the previous game. SolidSnake, though, moving up to bully Perkz back, just threatening. Perkz has to be careful about approaching the wave, waits for the Cassio to step away before starting to clear it out.
Now they're moving up towards the top side of the map. Want to try and offer a bit of support for Relic. That is one of the rare instances where we see Jankos actually gank the top lane. Usually he doesn't do that during the laning phase. It's either mid or sometimes bot. But yeah, trying to help Wunder out a little bit. Trying to extend the already large CS lead that he has built up for himself on the top side of the map. And remember, even though Infinity had the first blood, G2 doing what they often do. Building a gold lead just from the raw individual talent that they have from their solo laners. Big CS lead in the mid, along with that big CS lead up top side.
Things look good. Perkz. Moving forward, there's the wall going to be coming in. Now, of course, it's hard for Xayah to get over that one. We'll see when the ulti comes out. Focusing, though, instead on the Rakan. Renyu not going to have to burn anything, but the flash forced out from Rakan does make those engages a little bit more difficult. Jankos not finding a kill yet, but still very proactive across the map. What is the response play here from Infinity? You can see they're still playing defensively. They're still moving the Cassio and Skarner in response and not looking for a proactive play of their own.
Yeah, still no SolidSnake towards the bot side of the map. I really do feel like you want to try and leverage the level 6 mark of that this duo has. And even if you don't get a kill, just burning some summoner spells to just relieve some of the pressure, I feel will be really beneficial for Infinity. Maybe they just respect the Alistar a little too much.
Uh-oh. We've hit proxy farm Urgot status, which is a bit terrifying now for Relic. Wunder continues to amass an immense individual advantage. Jankos was there for a few moments, as you mentioned, Vedius, but this is mostly built on the back of the 1v1. Of course, favorable matchup and Wunder's individual skill, but SolidSnake thinks he sees a route to the gank. Sadly, Jankos is here to respond and is going to start throwing out. Threaded volley not going to connect, however, SolidSnake will focus on clearing the ward. Both sides committing 3 members to the bottom side, and Relic pull Wunder back into the tower. Massive trade in the favor of the Aatrox. That's a good start if you can keep it going.
Yeah, Wunder took like 4 tower shots there. Definitely not the way you want to be sieging up against that kind of tower. Ends up pushing him back. Still willing to trade aggressively though, as now SolidSnake has arrived in the bot lane just to allow Renyu and Arce to go back to base, maybe spend a little bit more of their gold.
Wunder now ghosting though, looking for a play on the top side. No ulti available yet for Aatrox. He's gonna try to burn him down. It's gonna be a pretty easy one if he manages to connect it. Now trying to go on the retreat, bringing him back, taking him out. Beautiful count on the timing from the Aatrox ult.
And Wunder with another solo kill in his back pocket. The man just keeps doing it. You can't afford to give him a Urgot.
Either one. Don't give him anything.
This is his meta. He loves these kind of champions. It's funny because for the longest time, you always had to criticize Wunder because he wasn't that confident on tanks. But whenever it was the carry meta, the 1-3-1 style of meta, that was when Wunder performed the best. That was when he was on Splice, they were able to make it to that final. And he kind of had up and down splits based on how the meta performed, but now he's like in that happy medium. Ooh, tanky carries. This is perfect for me.
They're called bruisers, but I would love an official name change to tanky carries. And Vedius, I think just the individual dominance we've seen from Wunder, and the fact that, you know, Worlds Patch is always kind of a toss of what kind of meta are we going to end up in, but the fact that we're in a meta where the two premier champions are both quintessential Wunder champions is good for G2, and for Relic, he was so, you know, successful with that Poppy in game one on these tankier options, but it looks like when this matchup is up and available, when they're not flexing or got into the mid lane, Relic is just the less experienced player or the less skilled player here when it comes down to the 1v1.
And the thing is, what makes it even worse is that every game people are banning Heimerdinger, right? And the fact that Hjarnan, a man that has received a lot of criticism from, I believe, a lot of fans, many analysts have also criticized his performance. The fact that he draws that ban every single game already offers a huge amount of value for the other big carries to perform. And again, we say it a lot because for Infinity, they found the weak point. They did shut this bot lane down. They really punished the Xayah. And then once they built that lead through bots, they were able to transition Renyu's pressure to the rest of the map. And that was how they shut down G2. They got to the late game teamfight stage. They were able to outperform. They punished the mistakes that G2 made. But if they keep trying to play through this early game, if they keep trying to outplay G2 on an individual level, that's where you'll see them falter.
Here comes the Predator in the mid lane, though. Pulling Perkz back. Do they have enough damage to take him down? It looks like the answer is yes. Cotopaco finally getting a play of his own, and Relic surviving on the top side, but just barely. Wunder choosing between a kill and the tower at this point. Infinity bleeding out on the top side of the map, but at least the mid lane is finally getting an impact. That is 2-0 for Cotopaco on the Cassiopeia.
And a good gank there from SolidSnake. We wanted to see his impact a little later than I would have preferred, but still. He puts Perkz behind, 0-2-0 now on the Irelia. And the bot lane is still doing fine. You can see they've even been able to build up a CS advantage over Hjarnan's Xayah. So Infinity, even though their top side of the map is kind of crumbling, they're at least generating advantages elsewhere.
And Vedius, honestly, we just look across the board and you can see very similar story to game one in terms of just the massive CS differentials, and it doesn't feel like Infinity have been able to use that bot lane to their advantage quite yet. And I think G2 are pretty comfortable letting the Xayah sit there, letting the Xayah scale up, and knowing that Wadid's job right now in this lane phase is just to stop the Xayah and Rakan from snowballing.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of win conditions, G2 have solid team fight. They have the front line of the Alistar and the Urgot. Irelia, actually a really good team fighter, just because of the AoE and the amount of mobility that she has. Taliyah, also really solid in team fights because of the zone control and damage she outputs. And then, of course, Xayah, we say it a lot, considered by pros to be the best late game AD carry in the current meta. Infinity also have a lot of teamfight tools, so I feel like we could see a lot of team fighting this game. And the fact that the game is still very even means that...
Vedius, you're gonna have to hold that talk. Keep coming bot lane. Cotopaco looking for the play. He manages to stun two. Is there any follow-up? Wadid is locked at the Cassio, and now SolidSnake is moving forward, trying to body block. There's the engage. Once again, chain CCing down the Irelia, but Wunder is here and he's ready to go. SolidSnake's already dead. Relic on the backside. Moving right into that pinch. They do not want to fight there. They're both sides are backing it off. It's just the 1-for-1, but so much committed from both sides.
Really good ultimate from Cotopaco to buy time for the teleport to come through from Relic. Then they were able to utilize the damage that they had to end up trading it for a 1-for-1, but G2, they still have priority over this bot lane. They're sieging onto this tower. I don't think they can secure it. And the rest of Infinity show up.
Cotopaco now on the hunt, looking for Jankos grounded. He's going to have to be careful. Backing off. Wunder threatens there on the front lines.
Cotopaco's Cassio is doing a fantastic job in these small skirmishes. Even gets the flash out from Jankos and the heal from Hjarnan. It is now Infinity who have priority in the bot lane. They will be able to push G2 back. And Infinity doing pretty well in how that skirmish could have played out.
Absolutely matching, at least in the skirmish. They've struggled elsewhere on the map. Still at a gold deficit here. Vedia's 2K stands against them. Stands in favor of G2, and Perkz doing what he can to clear out the way, but SolidSnake just shadowing Cotopaco so beautifully and really making this one work out for the team. But you need to get something greater here. Relic still waiting in the bush. Goes for the knockup, goes for the walk down. Wadid is going to get pulled back. Just barely manages to make it out on the edge. Cotopaco is here. They're going to try to break the tower. Jankos moving up to the top side to get the Herald in response. Let's see if they get anything else as well. Nope. Infinity settling for a tower in response.
Yeah. I like this a lot because Relic knew that there was a slow push in the top lane, so there was nothing he could really do with his time outside of just watch minions die. So by staying bot, it enables him to secure the tower because they had the numbers advantage. So here you can see the flanking TV coming from Wunder, but a really good two-man stun from Cotopaco just buys time. Now, admittedly, the jungle of SolidSnake goes in, and it makes it very easy for Jankos to just melt through him. And if he hadn't overcommitted there, this could have just been either both teams immediately disengaging, or maybe even Infinity picking up a solo kill. But because he just walked into the face of Jankos, Jankos just maximizing the combo of the Taliyah, secures a 1-for-1. And the gold still stays relatively close. Remember again, all that gold advantage sits on top of Wunder right now. He found a solo kill and he secured the first tower blood, which means that he is very far ahead of Relic. But outside of that, the rest of the map is still very even. Cotopaco sitting at 2-0-1. Perkz is 0-3 on the Irelia right now. And both bot laners are very close.
Difficult spot to be in, but G2 still flexing, moving through that mid lane, making their way down to the bottom side of the map to keep up the pressure. The tower is oh so low, and they've already spotted the Infinity bottom lane on the top side. They may just try to trade a tower back, but this one going to go down in the favor of G2. Infinity not grabbing anything exchange, and Jankos still has the Herald. The last couple plays, Infinity doing well to match, but definitely not coming out on top, and Perkz being 0-3 is really the only thing going right now for Infinity, shutting down that Irelia in the mid lane.
Pressure being built up for G2 in the mid. They summon up the Rift Herald. SolidSnake looking for something. His flash is up. Predator has been popped. He's not going to find anything as the mid tower goes down. G2 look to continue to extend their gold lead, and still a very close game. Remember, we say it a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it. G2 are best when they find a big early game lead. They don't have that. Wunder has an early game lead, but G2 as a team do not have the same kind of advantage that they had in game 2. Remember, Jankos was ganking all over the map. He had like 6 kills by the time we were at this point in the game, and G2 were just kind of dominating all 3 lanes. This time, it's still relatively even. The bot lane even has a slight advantage, and that's why we kind of turn to the team fights. We talk about win conditions for both comps. In terms of the 5v5, both are pretty strong, and it will come a lot down to execution. And that could be, the deciding factor could be between the top laners, Wunder versus Relic. Can Relic get onto the back line versus what is Wunder capable of doing? We're yet to wait and see. All I know is I feel like that this game will be decided by a big 5v5.
Vedius, I'm just ready for it. I love watching these late game team fights unfold to figure out who can get the better execution. For Arce and Renyu, getting a lot of these comfort picks, getting the Xayah Rakan in their hands. A lot of potential to make a play here, but the Predator now coming out. Perkz can try to buy a bit of time with the stun, the flash forward. Going to pull him in, going to chain the CC together with Rakan leaping in, and goodbye to Perkz. That's going to be that 0-4 scoreline. Infinity just picking him off over and over again, but it's a response in the mid lane. Cotopaco burning ult on nothing. May free up G2 to play more aggressively here in mid.
Then again, though, Infinity are successfully shutting down Perkz. Only now completing the Trinity Force. Oh, he does have the Joram's Fist as well, but he is struggling to have an impact on this game, and being that overextended means that G2 are forced to alleviate some of the pressure that they have elsewhere on the map. They're able to gain vision control on the river, and they're even able to rotate up, so they should be able to defend this tower. Arguably gaining much more than they should have after losing Perkz in a side lane.
It's just at the point where, you know, Infinity are getting stronger. They're taking Perkz down. They're making sure Perkz doesn't get to participate. But the remaining members of G2 Vedius are just in such a good spot. You can see massive jungle CS lead in favor of Jankos. Wunder, of course, the main. We've talked about it so many times already, but I think it's important to hit again. Just the biggest source of gold right now for G2. And they got to turn it into something else here. They got to continue to snowball this lead, or Perkz may just keep getting picked off. It doesn't really get easier from here. And flashes are up on the Xayah and the Rakan. And for Rakan especially, as the ulti cooldown gets closer and closer to being available, I feel like we may finally see that play you're talking about. Third wheel on the top side.
I mean, he really hasn't gotten involved. He's just left them to dinner, you know? And
which is what you should do.
I mean, that's what you should do, but they could have had a fed bot lane, I'm just saying. That all-you-can-eat buffet, you needed 3 people for that. Now instead they just had a dinner for 2. That was an option in the bot side, but they trying to gank the mid. I mean, to be fair, Perkz is now really far behind. So clearly, option number 2 still viable. I will accept it. And now Infinity getting vision around the river. Ooh, Cotopaco.
Big risk there with the ult. Nice sidestep though. Still going to get hit by Perkz' ulti in the end. Trying to turn this one around with the Xayah and Rakan on the backside. Renyu going to try to free hit in moving forward onto Hjarnan. Now throws out the ulti, brings it back. Feathers come back, and that's so much damage onto Hjarnan. The Xayah though may not be enough because Jankos ditches out so much of his own. Flashing over the wall. Renyu now on the retreat. Wunder now running for his life. The double going in for Jankos, but Relic is down for a little bit of revenge here up against Wunder. Maybe a bit too risky to chase. Ulti slowly timing out. Cotopaco now retreating. Jankos is going to push for anything else. Ulti goes out. Jankos just needs a little bit more damage on Cotopaco to reel him in. Damage over time, not enough in the end. Cotopaco now healing up. Trade of blows there in the river.
So a 3 for 2 in favor of G2. Cotopaco sinking his fangs into Urgot as they just try to wave clear. No objective going to be going in either side's favor, but really the big issue there for Infinity was both Relic and Cotopaco had been separated from the rest of their team. And when you have the 3 versus 3 jungle support AD carry, the big difference maker was Jankos on this Taliyah. We talked about it just coming into the game, how the Taliyah just offers so much more damage than the Skarner does. In this kind of a situation, look at how much damage Jankos is able to throw out. Already, the Skarner gets chunked out to about 20% of his HP, and what Renyu does his best here, getting a really good feather recall in, killing out Hjarnan. Jankos is still there to be able to turn the fight around, and that results in them winning that 3 versus 3, but then Relic and Cotopaco do a good job of finding another kill onto Perkz.
Of course, that replay brought to you by Acer Predator. We'll see if we'll have another highlight-worthy one, though.
Is he doing it again?
Relic now is running.
Oh, no!
Ulti available. Needs to get out of this one. Cannot afford to die. Healing up just enough before the ulti ticks down, but still has to run. Dash over the wall.
Run, Relic, run. Get away from the scary Wunder.
Get away from the bad man. Oh. And Relic survives. Not again, Relic says.
Admittedly, he flashed into the wall. We have to recognize that, but he survives. He's able to juke out from the damage the Wunder's able to throw out, and he walks away with it. So good stuff there from Relic. But G2 still control the vast majority of the map. If we just kind of look around the top side vision, you can see that there is so much control around that Baron area. Control wood in the tri-bush, control wood in the pit. And the fact that G2 hold control over the Baron means that right now, they're the ones that have greater control over the map as a whole. Ocean Drake is alive, and Infinity do see that, but trying to commit to that objective would leave this Baron wide open.
And now they're trying to clear out a little bit of vision. But Vedius, what are we looking at? Are either of these teams really going to try for Baron at this point in the game?
Oh no. But just controlling it is the most important aspect of this. You've got to remember that with a Cassio, your Baron taking speed is very fast, especially with the Xayah there as well. The Skarner on a Spire is going to be very scary. But the thing is, when you have control of a Baron, it means that you can force more plays, right? Because if you start it... Ooh, bit of a trade.
Cotopaco does get stunned up, though. Perkz taking so much damage in exchange.
But yeah, so, ooh, okay, no. Dive happening up top.
Wall coming out. Cotopaco has the ultimate available. Burning out. Get a little more damage down on the Jankos. The minions blocking a lot of what's coming out. But Cotopaco needs to play safety. That's 1 kill going down. Perkz now in trouble. The rest of the team on the hunt for the remaining members of G2. Pulled back and locked up. Perkz trying to dash his way around, but it's not going to happen. Vedius, what was that you just said? Cassio shredding through Baron. Could we see it?
Yes, we could. 5 members of Infinity are alive. They're not actually going towards the Baron. They're going to clear out mid first. Now they can make their way straight towards this objective. Wunder is still alive. He has teleport. Hjarnan is up and available too, but Infinity in full control over this objective.
So much criticism has been levied against Hjarnan, but now as he moves in, if he can contest this objective, hitting Cotopaco is a big start. Does he just leap in to try to stop this from happening? Doesn't want to pull the trigger quite yet. 3 members moving. Cotopaco getting lower and lower, but 5K and dropping. Can anyone stop this? 2K going down further and further. Wunder trying to get it started, but the Baron has already dropped in favor of Infinity. Now they're trying to find the fight when Hjarnan untouched on the backside. Aatrox going to go into the passive, and Wunder running for his life, but Renyu still alive and well. Cotopaco is out of mana, but I don't even know if they need him. Infinity are on the hunt. Wunder needs to find a flank to the backside, but he simply cannot. He may give his life as well, taking out SolidSnake as Hjarnan, continuing to cut through. Hjarnan is going off in the fight. They simply cannot kill it. Xayah, triple coming through for G2 to turn it back.
And G2 end up finding 4 kills as Infinity are not able to stop the onslaught of Hjarnan and Wunder. Such a big turnaround fight. Perkz and Jankos should be so grateful to the carries on their team because what was a big misplay is now a big win for G2.
Cotopaco now trying to turn it all around, but it does not matter. Goes golden, but he's already burning down. He dies right there. Shut down for G2 and disaster averted. Hjarnan with no mana, but only Rakan stands in front of G2 as they push up the mid lane. They're gonna break the inhibitor line right here.
Oh man, G2, that was a big mistake, and if it weren't for Wunder, Hjarnan and Wadid, this game could have been so different, but they were able to make the outplay. They were able to win the team fight, and now all 5 members lose the Baron. Just look at Wunder here. He rips through Arce, and this is where the AoE fear starts. So now Hjarnan is just free to deal so much damage. He puts Relic in his passive very early on, and then look, he's even able to get onto Renyu as well. SolidSnake forced to flash, but then Infinity split apart, and Renyu, he can only hit onto Wadid. The fact that he's not dealing with the damage dealers means that he isn't able to win the fight for his team, and he does his best, he does what he can, but it is Hjarnan that comes out on top. And I really want to emphasize, that was a clear mid-game mistake that we often see from G2. Perkz and Jankos trying to set up that collapse up towards the top side, dying, and then giving away a Baron. If it wasn't for Wunder and Hjarnan coming up huge, and of course we did, of course.
Don't forget the support, Mr. Man.
Yeah, you can't forget the support. That would have been disaster. Now, Infinity looking for a play.
Pulling back Wunder, how much damage can they actually lay down? The Naki's not going to be able to dash out of that one. Clean pick off. Now moving for a little bit more. No Baron buff backing them up, sadly. They will just break this tower. Good pick getting off from Infinity. They're starting to play at their own pace, but Jankos with so much wave clear. No Baron empowering those minions means it's pretty easy for him to just cut them down. Relic on the front line, though, looking to take out Jankos, incredibly vulnerable. Wadid trying to buy a little bit more time. Perkz is going to start dashing and ducking his way through the back line, leaping in and out, proccing the ult from Relic. Now going into reservation mode. They have to be careful, though. Approaching Cotopaco away as they ulti up could be disastrous. It's a slow, steady siege. Both these teams continuing to battle it out. 20 seconds to Wunder. He has the TP. There's vision where he can flank from if he gets the opportunity, but the tier 2 will drop. Infinity back off after that.
Yeah, the wave clear isn't that strong from G2, and Perkz is pretty far behind. Oh, he's got to respect this.
Perkz, the flash engage. They're going to lock up one. They're looking to lock up a few more, but Perkz manages to find the disengage. Not going to be enough, however. Hjarnan on the run. Cotopaco trying to hunt him down. Now moving in. Wunder on the way. The Urgot's going to come in the middle of everybody. He's going to take out Relic. Wadid is here as well. How much can Wunder do for this team? Cutting through those health bars. Running, though. They're trying desperately, but there's the fear, and it's not enough because death is coming for Cassio too. Cotopaco absolutely deleted.
And this is Wunder once again. This time, Perkz knows that he can commit to the fight because he has a teleporting Urgot on its way. I don't know if G2 can convert this into much, though. While the death timers are long, I find it hard to believe that they can just end the game, but they're just running down mid. They have the minion wave right behind them. Arce's about to respawn.
And the Urgot is just so incredibly powerful with the creep wave there. Hjarnan to a major damage threat, but you just cannot afford to ignore Wunder.
All right, they're going to go for the bot lane instead. I think this is a smarter, safer play. There's a much bigger minion wave that they can take advantage of. And Infinity want to highlight, again, they found a really good pick onto Wunder. They then take the mid tower, and they know that because of the lack of wave clear on G2, they can secure the tier 2 as well, but then they stick around too long. They overcommit. They don't respect the respawn timer from Wunder and his ability to teleport into that exchange. So here we are. Now we actually see the second fight. This is where Infinity should have just backed away. Instead, Rakan dives into the Taliyah E, killing himself. Then, Perkz buys enough time for the teleport to come through, and Wadid sees, okay, now that my Urgot is here, I know we can win this fight. And in this kind of clumped up situation, especially with the fear being placed as well, very easy for Wunder to just clean up the fight.
And Vedius, Wunder's just such a monster on this Urgot. It just continues to be the story of this series. Do not give this man Urgot. He comes in so clutch in the late game fights, and it feels like Infinity saw success in front of them with just the members from G2 there, but the second Wunder came into the equation, everything fell apart. Really not respecting the respawn timers, feeling a bit too greedy, it seems like, for that single pick.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, you can understand Infinity. Like, this game, definitely very different from what we saw in Game 2. They are finding a lot of good picks, and they're challenging G2 in a lot of these fights. But sometimes you get a little overconfident, you get a little over-eager, and you try to force more plays than you can. Now, SolidSnake going in once again.
Force one of those plays right now, trying to take out Wunder, but pulled back. Predator still proc. SolidSnake still running for it. He's going to be the one caught in the middle of the team. He cannot afford to stray that far. Wunder's going to pull him back. Is just going to bring it going. Perkz locked up in the middle of everybody, but they're trying to bring it back with the Xayah. Lots of feathers coming in. Arce on the retreat. Perkz leaping forward, trying to find the stun, trying to find the reset. It does not matter. This is the cleanup from G2. Riding in on the wall. It might just be the one that takes into victory. Goodbye to Renyu. Slowly but surely getting chipped down, and G2 are destroying Infinity.
And Wunder does it once again. He was the target that SolidSnake was trying to jump on top of. He was the guy that was likely going to lose his life, but he uses his dash to interrupt SolidSnake, and then he flashes over the wall. SolidSnake then ends up in a really awkward situation where he ends up dying first, and the rest of his team are quick to follow. G2 though, they have no minion wave. Relic buys enough time, and the Baron is not going to respawn fast enough for G2 to really capitalize.
Oh.
Relic's still on the run.
Oh, well played there on the dash back. There's nowhere else for him to go though. Jankos is here too. He thought maybe, just maybe, I can turn it on Perkz. Is not going to happen. Vedius, Goldie continues to mount in the favor of G2. 8K in their favor. One more fight is all it's going to take for them to end the game.
Whew. So good job there from Relic to stall out, but the Baron will definitely be respawning before he comes back alive. He does have the teleport, but keep your eyes on Wunder here. So look what he does. He interrupts by using his E, and then he flashes over the wall, and SolidSnake can't ulti anyone. He then gets trapped against the wall by Wadid, and then instantly killed. And then with him out of the way, Perkz can dive onto the back line. The rest of G2 can quickly follow up. Hjarnan is untouched. And it all just comes off the back of, once again, Wunder having a phenomenal game.
Taking the fight off. Cotopaco needs to find that 4-man ult. He's going to get it out, and it's not going to happen. That's the pick. Wunder now unstoppable, but all of G2 coming in there in the clutch. Infinity, their backs now against the wall. Baron all but certain to go over to G2. Can they even contest? Will they even contest? SolidSnake is alive. Smite is available, but no flash. Kaisa just tearing through that health bar.
The cowbell coming out from Wadid.
Oh.
The signal.
The rallying cry of the G2 army.
Here comes the Taliyah wall.
Headbutting him away. Skarner's all isolated on his lonesome. Wadid stopping any follow-up. SolidSnake all but set to fall. There's really absolutely no way he can get out of this one. There's simply too many members chasing him. Is the crystalline exoskeleton going to be enough? Can he get the movement speed there? I don't think so. Hjarnan now leaping forward, committing the ulti, trading it 1-for-1, but sadly not enough life for SolidSnake. Goodbye to the Skarner. G2 in prime position to take the game.
They now have the Baron buff. Wunder's pushing in mid as well. They have a wave stacking up towards the top side, along with 4 members of G2. A dead SolidSnake, and G2 looking to secure themselves game 3 in this series.
Infinity, if they want to find a win fight, I don't know if this is their opportunity. A single member down, maybe they just have to give up this inhibitor line, but Wunder is threatening the base right now. Still so much time left on this Baron. Perkz constantly threatening that dive in. Wadid hex flashing over the wall. And just continuing to play the cowbell. The cowbell of death, Vedius. This is it, the final stand. And G2, they're not going to give him a chance. They respect Infinity enough in their team fighting prowess not to push for anything too much. They're going to do the slow, steady route, looking for 3 inhibitors, waiting for Infinity to expose an opportunity.
Infinity, they looked good in the early portions of the game. They successfully shut down Perkz. Their bot lane built a lead in the 2 versus 2 by themselves, and while Relic did fall behind, there were a couple of positives. You know, you can see them, 12 kills on the board. They were no slouch in this game. They were challenging G2 often. And SolidSnake was finding a lot of really good picks. But unfortunately, in a couple of these late game fights, they were overcommitting, overextending. And then a couple of misplays resulted in G2 just finding one too many fights, which now led to a Baron. And now you're really on the back foot. G2 likely just waiting for the Elder Dragon to spawn. Waiting to pick up that objective before looking to end the game.
And we're at that point. Xayah on 4 items, 4.5 rather, 5 if you include the boots. And now Renyu is matching to a certain degree, but Wunder's still so significantly far ahead of the Aatrox. Aatrox only now finishing that 3rd major item, GA. So is the Black Cleaver going to be coming in clutch? Sterix as well. And Vedius, 10K gold deficit at this point in the game. Maybe it's 50, 60 minutes you can survive that, but they're simply not far enough in the game for that not to be significant, and Wunder always going to be a threat.
So Baron still has a minute left on it. They've pushed the bot lane out, while Infinity just do what they can to maintain these minion waves that are walking towards them, but they also want to have some semblance of vision as Infinity looking.
The Predator proc. SolidSnake maybe hunting, looking for an opportunity. Last time he tunneled too far, gave up too much, got picked off. This time, slowing down Wadid, just threatening. Righteous Glory burned as well, though. A lot of those item actives already being used, and Perkz just continues to push up the mid lane.
Exactly. G2, they're just waiting. They know they have minion waves all across the board, and then the moment Infinity go to clear them out, that's when G2 kick off the Elder Dragon. So playing this patiently, recognizing the pressure they have on the mat, G2 not being too over-eager, will secure the objective, and will now group up towards the bot side of the map and make their way towards the final inhibitor of Infinity. I mean, the second inhibitor of Infinity.
There you go. Inhibitor timer's coming up. A lot of time until those are going to be back and available. 90 extra true damage on the side of G2. It's going to be enough, however. Fight coming. Last bastion of defense here for Infinity. For G2, slow and steady is the name of the game. For Infinity, they need one explosive fight where they can turn this back in their favor. So hard now for SolidSnake to approach. Perkz is focusing on the mid lane, but they see they have an advantage. Perkz now could get in on the flank, but he's focusing on the inhibitor. Wunder using the Gargoyle Stoneplay. Arce doing what he can to stop the fight from going any further, but they haven't even killed the Urgot. G2 simply too far ahead. Perkz keeping the fight going. Cotopaco all but burned down now, and G2 are just running it into the base of Infinity. Perkz, though, does get shut down. Jankos retreating there, using the wall to buy a bit more time, but it looks like 3 inhibitors is the name of the game for G2, giving up a member in exchange.
Yeah, Infinity actually end up winning out on that fight, and G2 are the ones forced to retreat. For now, Infinity hold on to this game. But at what cost? The rest of their base is still falling apart. The Elder Dragon still in the hands of G2. Perkz, he did overcommit this time around. He was a little too deep for the rest of his team that couldn't offer that support. And G2 making the most out of their Baron buff.
Yeah, 4K up, and obviously the gold lead is just massive. If it weren't for that last fight, I'd say nigh insurmountable, but G2 still trading objectives, 4 kills, giving up the life of Perkz. We take a look at this one more time and just Wunder's so tanky.
Yes, so tanky. He's not only tanking the tower, but he's also tanking 4 enemy members. Arce does a good job of like locking down the backline, and then Perkz tries to get the kill onto the carry, but just not quite enough damage to secure the kill onto Cotopaco. And if this had been a 1-for-1, maybe it would have been a little bit easier for G2 to keep the push going, but with Cassio rezzing back up and getting all the health back, there was no way in which G2 could continue to pressure. So now they're going to be waiting for the Baron to respawn. Inhibitors are going to come back up. Infinity will do what they can to stall. Wait for that one clutch fight that can help them win the game. At this point in the game, in fact, those death times will be pretty long, so one good fight is all they need.
Relic going to look for the flank. Can he find anything else? Stun already now used. They're going to pull Wunder back to the middle of the team, but I don't know if that's where you want that Urgot. They're trying to chain him down. They're trying to cut through him. There's the revive coming in from the Aatrox. Wunder deleted before the fight even starts. Perkz throwing out the ultimate. Can he bring it back? Can he turn this fight in their favor? A lot of cooldowns burned on the side of Infinity. Hjarnan still alive and well. Still the massive threat in this fight. They can't afford to get distracted by Perkz.
G2 just waiting for the minions to do what they can. Here comes the Taliyah wall to just separate Infinity.
Breaking up the team. Stun not going to connect. Flawless Duet will not find a target, but a lot of damage going down on a Renyu. The AP Xayah build coming in clutch thus far. And 3 inhibitors still going to drop, even on the back of a pick-off in favor of Infinity.
And Infinity continue to stall. It was a really nice flank there from Relic. He drew the engage tools from Wadid, which meant that he didn't have them to then save their top laner Wunder. He got dragged into all 4 members. They very quickly chain CC him down. He even tries to flash out of that situation, but it's not enough. And Infinity showcasing that their late game team fighting is definitely one that you have to respect.
Renyu now moving forward, ready to test the Baron, but he doesn't see the flank coming. He doesn't see G2 on the backside. He sees him now, but it might be too little too late. Renyu gonna run down and try to find a way out of this one. Cotopaco wants to find this flank, but Renyu's already so incredibly low. Wunder into Arce into the backline, but he's only able to hit Relic thus far. GA already burned. Renyu immediately gonna use the ultimate, but Wunder is ready to go over that wall if he has to. The fight slowly but surely being lost on the side of Infinity. G2 pushing in, looking for a little bit more. Now Relic is going to activate the ultimate, but it could be too little too late. G2 happily playing the fight slow. They know all it's going to take for them to end this game is this Baron buff.
Yeah, because remember, they secured 3 inhibitors just moments ago, which means that there is still so much pressure in the enemy base. Infinity, with their jungler gone, will not be able to steal this objective away, and Baron secure, G2 secure another Baron.
Infinity, I said last time they were in the base was their last bastion. This is the definitive last bastion. Baron powering up these minions. Relic doing what he can to hold on. Hasn't even had a chance to back. The wall now being used to split, support an 80 carry. Perkz just walking it down the mid lane. Fighting is the only option left. If they wait, they will die. There are too many super minions in the base. Infinity have to find a fight, but G2 are the ones who are going to start first. Relic immediately going to get picked off. Cotopaco needs an ult to turn this one, but Hjarnan into the back line is just going to delete the Cassio. That is everything for G2 in the last moment as they take the game.
Well, it certainly wasn't clean. Infinity did a good job of fighting back in the late game, but G2 do end up finding the win, largely off the pressure that they gained from the multiple inhibitors that they took down. But there were some big mistakes there from G2. Remember, they did lose the first Baron, Infinity, after punishing the overstep from Jankos and Perkz. Meant that they converted it into a Baron, and if they'd been able to walk away, this game could have ended very differently. But it came down to Wunder on the Urgot once again, Hjarnan and Wadid, the duo carry. If it wasn't for their great play around the Baron, G2 could be down a game. They could have been the ones behind.
Really just a fantastic performance from G2 as a whole. Wunder continues to be a shining light for this team. Jankos doing well, kind of as expected on this Taliyah as he continues to have these good performances. And then Hjarnan and Wadid also, I think, stepping up in a big way in this series, which was important for the team when Perkz was getting down and out to have those guys be reliable. Now, MasterCard player of the game, something we always got to talk about. Vedius, I think no one's going to be surprised. The Urgot.
Yeah, the guy, he had a pretty impressive game. He had an impressive game too as well, but not only did he find a solo kill in his own lane, but this guy in team fights was monstrous. The fact that in a 3 versus 5, they were able to come out on top of that. Look at this 5-man fear that I say 5-man, he'd already killed one target to fear the rest.
The corpse was scared, Betty. The corpse was really scared.
But the TP in this fight as well, and he was there to pick up and compensate for the mistakes that G2 would often make. And if it wasn't for him, Infinity could have come out on top of this game because they were playing a lot of these fights really well. And admittedly, yes, they overcommitted to a couple, but I'm really impressed with what Wunder was able to do that time around.
I mean, we continue. Last game, he killed 2 people in a 2v1 to ensure that his team could win the game. This game, he carried what very well could have been a fight that lost to G2 the game. Let's say, if Wunder wasn't that far ahead, if he had died there and a few members had been left from Infinity, that was like the start of the Infinity comeback, of them like taking major objectives. This guy was absolutely clutch overall, and I think for G2 right now, they have to be feeling good. The loss of the start...
I mean, I wouldn't feel good if I was G2, because the fact that you have to rely on Wunder to pretty much carry your game means that you did not play that great.
I'm sorry, when we play solo queue and we have like an 8-1 top lane, are we concerned that we're playing poorly? Or are we like, I will take that LP? And I think for G2, that should be the attitude. Like, I don't care. We're winning. I can worry about my performance later. Right now, G2 is winning the game.
But what it also shows to you is that Infinity have very clear ways in which they can win. Because if you take Wunder off his ability to carry, and you also are able to put Hjarnan and Wadid down, I am really confident that Infinity could take us to a Game 5, because I have genuinely been impressed with how they played these team fights, and it's just about the execution. And they're so close to pulling off so many great fights. It's just that Wunder right now is just doing it that bit better, and he is that big factor that is swinging in favor of G2.
And we'll see what Infinity can do, because G2 are on match point with Infinity Esports backs against the walls. We're going to see if they can extend the series in Game 4, or if G2 is going to take it home. Throws out the ult, he brings back Feathers, come back, and does so much damage onto Hjarnan. The Xayah, though, may not be enough because Jankos dishes out so much of his own, flashing over the wall. He may give his life as well, taking out SolidSnake as Hjarnan, continuing to cut through. Hjarnan is going off in the fight. They simply cannot kill it. Xayah running, though. They're trying desperately, but there's the fear, and it's not enough because death is coming for Cassio too. Feathers coming in, Arce on the retreat. Perkz leaping forward, trying to find the stun, trying to find the reset. It does not matter. This is the cleanup from G2.
Look at it, look. My KDA!
Welcome back to Level Up, presented by State Farm. Last week we shared pointers on taking down Rift Herald, so this week we wanted to give some tips on using Eye of the Herald. As of patch 8.14, Shelly prioritizes minions and turrets over champions, so try to activate her trinket when the enemy minion wave is cleared so she remains undistracted. Since hard CC can cancel the summoning of Rift Herald, try popping the trinket out of sight, perhaps just out of lane. This makes it harder for the enemy team to interrupt you. A safe summon will also give her a direct line of sight for a turret charge, which at minimum deals 1,500 damage. If executed properly, this offers you a ton of map pressure and allows Rift Herald to do what she loves, net you some sweet turret gold.